let's see if this will start to receive. And it should. So if you're catching this part of the stream, then you're seeing me kind of see this live thing work. There we go. And we're live. Look at that. Now it should be here as well. Perfect. So if you're catching this part, I'm going to get out of that screen. I'm going to get out of this screen. And we're live. All right, so I'm going to go to Instagram here now, and I'm going to put Instagram up on the old live screen. Nope, don't want that. Nope. Discard it. There we go. All right, we're going to go live on Instagram. And let's go live there. Perfect. So that's working now. Yo, welcome to the live stream. This is Chris, and this is This Week in Marketing. Welcome. I changed up the name a little bit this time. I've been doing it as This Week in Small Business Marketing for the last, I don't know, couple months. And I changed it up because the topics that I've been going over the last couple of weeks really apply to marketing as a whole. And, you know, I've kind of created a subtitle for this broadcast every week. And essentially what I'm saying is that, you know, the title of the stream is This Week in Marketing, but it's really a vlog for businesses that are trying to navigate the marketing world around them. And my goal here is to try to, you know, find articles that I think are really relevant to the last week in marketing and business news, really marketing news. Sometimes it ends up bleeding into business news and kind of tech news. But the idea is to try to find these articles and share them and discuss them, read through some of them, inform you, the business owner and the business person, about what's going on, and then, you know, have some fun while we're at it. You know, I drink a beer every week while we do this. You know, I encourage you to do the same if you're able to do that. Like today, I'm opening this guy up, and here's what we got this week. We got, check her out, Revision. Look at these cans, man. Revision's always got really cool cans. Northeast Style Hazy Triple IPA. So it's a triple IPA, which means they probably dry hopped it at some point. It's got like, you know, triple the amount of hops. I brew my own beer a little bit, but I'm nowhere an expert. I just know triple IPA means a fuck ton of hops. So let's give it a shot. All right. Didn't throw up, so that means it's good, right? No, it's good beer. I'm a fan of the hoppy beers, IBUs, all that fun stuff. And yeah, so if you're on Instagram eventually watching this, go to my YouTube channel. It's just Chris Overlay, and you can see the actual screen that I'm recording. If you're just watching me on the screen, it's probably not that exciting, and you're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But on YouTube, I have my actual like computer screen being recorded, and I actually read through and showcase some of the stuff in the articles that we go over every week. So, all right, I'm here, and I'm knighted up, by the way. Golden Knights are in the playoffs. Go Knights, go. And yeah, anyways, all right, let's talk about some business stuff. This week, we've got some really cool articles, really big news happening out there, and it's exciting. It's exciting and a bit scary. The first bit of news is about Walmart, and they're kind of dipping into this advertising world. I think that's kind of interesting. The next big news is the scary news. It's about third-party cookies and Google Chrome. I'll explain all that here in a minute, but it's going to mean some major changes in the way that we advertise online. So that's coming up, and then we also have some other I'm going to backload the back part of the stream with just some kind of interesting stuff that I found about the first part's about the average price of marketing services. It's a survey from the respondents were marketers or agencies and outside consultants. So I think that's kind of interesting. And then we're going to end with a little bit of information. It's an opinion piece, but I want to read some of it about Shopify and how they are kind of battling Amazon. So all that is coming up. And yeah, anyways, let's get started. So Walmart wants to become a big advertising player like Amazon. And this is quite interesting because Walmart and Amazon have a history of kind of battling each other, you know. And Amazon really has led the way with e-commerce, and they've really taken a sizable amount of market share from Walmart. You know, Walmart was the place you used to go to get all your like normal, you know, usable goods throughout the week. Now Amazon's offering a lot of that and more. You can buy your camping stuff, your hardware. You can buy all kinds of stuff off of Amazon, and they do an excellent job of it. And Amazon's been frankly getting their asses kicked for a long time. And now, you know, Walmart has been in a rush to catch up, and Amazon is just kind of ahead, right? So here's some examples of Walmart trying to catch up. They've done the order online thing, right? They're late to the game as far as their website goes and ordering online. They're late to the game as far as being able to like pick up things in 2 days. Now they offer 2-day shipping for free, which is new within the last 12 months, and they're late to the game on that. And now they're late to the game on advertising. And let's just kind of read through some of this stuff because it really explains it all. And I'll kind of cut out here and there along the way to give my opinion on it. But I think as I read it, you'll understand what I'm talking about here. So this is according to New York CNN Business. Walmart is serious about giving Amazon a run for its money online. It's so determined that the company bought a startup to help compete in an unexpected business, online advertising. The retailer on Thursday bought Polymorph Labs, a Silicon Valley startup that specializes in managing digital ads for brands. Terms of the deal were not disclosed, but Walmart said adding the startup's technology would enable current and potential advertisers to reach consumers more effectively. The acquisition positions Walmart to compete with Amazon, which became the country's third largest platform last year behind Google and Facebook, third largest ad platform. And that's a big spot to hold because Facebook and Google are huge as far as online advertising goes. Amazon is in third. And to clarify, you know, Amazon does advertising a little bit different. So Facebook and Google, you can advertise on those platforms, but then you can also advertise off those platforms. Amazon does that a little bit differently. So a lot of their advertising is on platform. I believe they do a little bit of off-platform advertising, but it's a little bit different, right? Like with Google, you have a massive display network of like, you know, hundreds and hundreds of, you know, platforms, and you can control where your ads are showing. You can pick which apps, which websites, target demos, behavior, all that stuff. Amazon isn't quite like that. It's more along the lines of, you know, just kind of, you can do a little bit of remarketing, a little bit of advertising, but if you're going to just start advertising on Amazon, you're essentially bumping your products to the top of the research list when people are searching for products. So it's a little bit different. It's still impressive that it's the third biggest ad platform, even with that. Continuing on. Our data has never been monetized, and we have a tiny ad business. Walmart CEO Doug McMillon told analysts last year it could be bigger, he says. Walmart hopes its pitch to consumer brands will stick. It's playing up the fact that it has a huge network of physical stores that it can use to recruit brands. Walmart says it has a trove of shopper data because 90% of Americans shop at Walmart every year. And its website and stores attract nearly 160 million visitors a week. So it's a big player. A lot of people shop at Walmart, so there's a lot of consumer data at stake here. That's absolutely right. We can help brands understand if someone saw their ad on Walmart's platform or across the internet and then purchase the product in-store or online, said Stephanie Jay, Vice President and General Manager of Walmart Media Corp. Walmart's scale and data could give it a unique opportunity to expand its ad business, UBS analyst Michael Lesser said in a research report last month. Walmart wants to squeeze out more digital advertising dollars because its profit is under pressure. The company sold for $184 billion worth of groceries sold $184 billion worth of groceries in the United States last year, more than a third of its more than $500 billion in sales. But groceries carry razor-thin margins. Walmart has also sacrificed profit in recent years by investing billions of dollars to build out its digital operation, lower its prices, and add online pickup to thousands of stores. Profit has fallen 3 years in a row. So Walmart is feeling pressure, right? They've spent a ton of money on stuff, and they need revenue. And where's all the revenue now in 2019 for online platforms is ads. So I don't think it's a bad thing for Walmart to focus on that. I would imagine that would be a definite channel for revenue. But what does this advertising actually mean, right? Like, where are we actually going to see advertising? And that's the question I would have. It's like, is this like brands? Like, what's up with that? So let's read on and see if we uncover it. But Walmart believes that building new revenue streams such as advertising, healthcare, and financial services can help offset its heavy spending and boost profits. Retailers will need to innovate and find new profit pools, Lesser said. He continues to say, pivoting traditional retail business models won't be easy, but will be necessary over time. No shit. Where have you been at, Walmart? That's what every other online platform has been saying for years. Like, you're late to the game. Continuing, the retailer faces challenges. However, Walmart Chief Financial Officer Brent Biggs told analysts at a conference last month that Walmart needed to be careful to prevent its website from becoming cluttered with ads. That's a serious concern. You know, what you don't want to happen is, you know, the website just being like bombarded with advertisements where it looks like kind of like what we're looking at here. There's like advertisements everywhere. But I think there's some innovative ways that they could probably filter in ads. And Kroger and some of these other companies are kind of talking about it. So let's keep reading, right? Rival groceries and retailers that want to expand their digital ad business also pose an obstacle for Walmart. Last year, Kroger, Albertsons, and Ahold Delhaize all made big pushes into advertising. Kroger, for example, believes it has an opportunity to sell brands ads on its store shelves, and it's tapping Microsoft to help. The two companies struck a partnership in January to pilot 2 stores in Ohio and Washington State. Instead of paper tags for prices and promotions on the 2 store shelves, they will be digital. That creates room for Kroger to sell advertising space to brands, which that is really interesting in a digital store. And Walmart does a little bit of this, right? Like if you're in Walmart and you see those end caps, you know, with the videos going, that's an example of what this is. I think with Kroger and Albertsons, what they're talking about doing is having like a screen or something on the actual shelf where there can be a video or something like that. I think that there are some real some branches of that could be interactive. You know, that stuff can happen. And I think that if Walmart gets on that boat and tries to do more of that sort of thing, then absolutely it could be real neat, you know, being in the store and seeing this kind of stuff. You know, although the critics will probably be like, now there's pop-ups in store. You know, I went to the store to escape the pop-ups, and now I'm here getting popped up on. You know, the question I have is still the same one I had a few minutes ago. What brands are actually going to be able to use this? And think about who's distributed in Walmart. You know, it's the big guys, right? You're talking like Procter and Gamble and, you know, all their products. You know, how hard is it to get shelf space in Walmart? Really freaking hard. You know, if you're like a medium to small size business, getting shelf space in Walmart's very tough, you know, so that's difficult. You know, it's not going to change online. It's not going to be all the Walmart products online. So really this advertising play is for more of the big brands, I think, to try to generate ad dollars from them. And I'm interested to see how it plays out. You know, if I were Procter and Gamble, maybe, you know, I'd be really interested in more of the interactive stuff. And really the next story is going to impact this a lot because of the way things are changing with online advertising. But, you know, as far as this relating to like the small and medium-sized business person, I guess the point of me sharing this article from that perspective is that, you know, don't get shook by it, you know, for a couple of reasons. One, Walmart is way behind the game on everything. I think their ad program is probably going to roll out and suck ass for a while until they figure it out. But by then, Amazon and everybody else is going to be 4 steps ahead of them again. So we'll see. I think the Target platform, Target stores, it's way cooler. It's way more interesting because they're opening up to third parties, right? So you can be a third-party reseller or a third-party brand, and you can advertise through the Target platform. There's no word yet that that's going to happen with Walmart. So I like the Target idea. It's more exciting. You know, I'm not going to say I'm sold on either one of these. I think there may be problems with the Target thing. It may have huge barriers of entry to get into Target. Maybe Walmart will eventually open it up to third parties, which that would be interesting. But we'll see. We'll see. Interesting news either way. All right, it's time for some brewskis. It's nice. It's getting to be spring and summer, so the IPAs are nice and refreshing for this time of year. And by the way, I'm looking over my live stream dashboard over. You can't see it because it's on my other screen. But I was looking at my videos, and the way I was doing this before is I had like QuickTime open up here in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and it was delayed. So my videos look like me, like Kermit the Frog up here. It was like an old movie or something. So now hopefully the live stream is a little bit better. So all right. Anyways, next article, and this one is the big news. This one's like shaking the pillars of the advertising community, and you're going to see why. So I'm going to do another read through. We'll break in between paragraphs and things like that to talk about it a bit, but let's just jump into it and just bear with me. This shit's insane. So 5 ways advertising could change if Chrome blocks third-party cookies. Yeah. Third-party cookies. So what a third-party cookie is, just to catch everybody up, is, if you don't know, is whenever you visit a website, the way it's been for a long time is that browser or that website will attach a cookie to your browser. Excuse me. So let me rephrase that. If you visit a website, that website will attach a cookie to your browser. Okay, so Google Chrome is a web browser. Safari, web browser. Internet Explorer is a web browser. Firefox is another browser. So Facebook or any product website, any sales website, they'll attach a cookie to your browser. Now, when you go and visit another website like Facebook or do a Google search or are playing on an app or a game or something like that through the browser, and that browser has ads as part of a display network, like through Google Display or through Facebook Display, an ad will be shown to you, and that ad could be for that product we're looking at. So that's the secret behind the remarketing ads. When you look at a product online and all of a sudden you're seeing ads for a month, it's because there was a cookie attached to your browser. Now that's worked for a long time, and remarketing and behavioral analysis is all possible because of those third-party cookies. Now Google is kind of getting on the train of stopping that. And they're not the first people to do this. They might be one of the last. But the scary part about this is that Google Chrome makes up a massive number of website users. So let's read through some of this and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about here about the news. But okay, online advertising is fundamentally changing. And by the way, this is from Adweek. By Ari Lewin, and I love Adweek. They got great articles. If you pay for their service, you can read tons of articles, and they're all really good. So if you're into advertising, definitely subscribe at least to the free newsletter from Adweek. That'll come to you, I think it's like every week, every day maybe, something like that. But great article resource for advertising news. Anyways, online advertising is fundamentally changing. With increased pressure to bend to the calls for consumer privacy, corporations and governments are doubling down on regulations to block third-party technology that targets consumers. Recently, those wins have produced the California Consumer Privacy Act, GDPR, Apple's Intelligent Tracking Prevention, ITP, and Firefox's Enhanced Tracking Protection initiatives. All are meant to protect consumer privacy, and all have created roadblocks for the advertising programmatic ecosystem. That's because programmatic entities rely on third-party cookies as the foundation for user-level targeting and measurement. Without them, marketers can't target users with highly relevant ads and determine whether those ads lead to sales. That's what I was talking about before. Got to have the third-party cookie to track people around and analyze behavior. Following complaints regarding its own consumer tracking practices, Chrome is next in line to follow suit. Recently, credible rumors began circulating suggesting Google would be the next frontier to block third-party cookies. And there's a link here if you want to look at another article from Adweek about these rumors. We're not going to do it today, but it's something if you come back to this link you can look at. This is major news. With Chrome's market share at 63%, the implications of losing third-party cookie access in the browser are far-reaching and potentially crippling to programmatic advertising as we know it. How will this play out? That's yet to be seen, and it's hotly debated, but this discussion signals a web of dependencies in programmatic. If the effects of Apple's ITP has taught us anything, it's that it is better to prepare for what effective programming advertising can look like without having to rely on third-party cookies. So yeah, that's what I was saying. 63% of web traffic is controlled through Chrome. And that probably includes mobile too. So if you have a mobile device, you know, you're using Google Chrome you can use Google Chrome as a browser. If you're on Apple, the default browser is Safari, but you can get Google Chrome on your iPhone. That's what I use. It's a superior browser. For almost everything I do, I use Chrome because it's a great browser. I use ad blockers on Chrome. It's a thing. I have to turn them off. I'm looking at client accounts because you know, I don't want to see the ads, and I'm a marketer, right? So now, you know, with such a large market share, this is why it's scary, is because if they stop using third-party cookies, what are marketers going to do? So reading on. So what does programmatic look like in a post-cookie world? Here are some potential ways marketers will need to pivot their ad targeting strategies. Targeting will become contextual. This is number one. Retargeting will dwindle in terms of the importance of online marketing. Instead, context will become king. In the current advertising landscape, the primary consideration is the person receiving the ad, but that focus would shift to what the user is consuming, where they are consuming it, and what their mindset is. Key indicators like keywords, time and location, environmental factors will shape the new targeting. This could also drive IAP targeting to the forefront, but that has a series of potential shortcomings. Advertisers will need to be smarter about analyzing the conditions around the consumption of content and consider signals above and beyond the user. So that's the big one, is that remarketing is going to be weird, right? It's going to be different because the way that we remarket now is we put a pixel on somebody's browser and then we track them for a month or 180 days or whatever, and we serve them ads during that time. Now it's going to be way harder. So you're going to have to really think about the buyer cycle, where people are at in the buyer making decision process, and how to serve them an ad at the right time. You know, it makes it way harder. Context and formats will go together. And if in a future where the industry can't rely on detailed targeting, ad experiences will need to capture consumer attention more effectively. As advertisers gather more contextual data around user behavior, they'll need to imbue that relevance into their creative. Formats will be tasked with doing the heavy lifting in order to compete for engagement. As such, banner ads and intrusive pop-ups will be less effective. Advertisers will focus on high-impact formats like native, video, and branded content, which often already outperforms other formats. Will have a higher potential to resonate with their target consumers. So advertisers who focus on high-impact formats like native, video, and branded content will have higher potential to resonate with their target consumers. So that's another big one, is that pop-ups are going to be less effective because they're just not going to be relevant, right? Banner ads are going to be less effective because most banner ads are displayed to you based on something that has to do with third-party cookies, right? Like, if you're on a website, they're going to have a behavior profile based on your metadata, and they're going to show you an ad. So, like, an easy example is if you're a guy, you might see an ad for a razor, you know? Something like that would be an example of behavior. Now, if those third-party cookies get turned off and they're not being tracked, how do you know what ad to serve somewhere? You could have a ton of wasted dollars on impressions that aren't relevant because the people you're showing to aren't really your target consumers. So that's why she's saying, right? Ari, yeah. Ari, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. Ari is saying that, you know, we have to be smarter about this. You know, banner ads aren't really that effective anyways. They're difficult to drive conversions. So this is kind of the nail in the coffin. But native advertisements, video, branded content, that's all going to start to take the forefront. And it's already proved, that's what Ari's saying here, is which it's already outperforms other formats. And he or she is right? Like, if you have branded content, like a really solid video, or you have some type of native post, you know, a full-on article about something, and your brand is sponsoring it, these type of formats are proving to be way better for brand awareness, brand engagement, and overall, you know, juice for your brand, right, or for your company. This third-party cookie thing being deleted and that causing pop-ups and banner ads to be less effective is only going to add more importance to those high-impact formats, as Ari's saying. So, all right, next thing. There will be an in there. Blah, blah, blah. You know what? Break. I can't talk today. There will be increasing reliance on publisher data. This one's interesting. So, first-party data will become more valuable for targeting users. Many publishers are already installing first-party cookies on their sites to collect this level of user data, and others will likely follow suit. We'll also see a significant increase in paywalls for content, while publishers who want to continue an ad monetization model will offer free content, but with registration requirements that request more detailed data points in exchange for access. So, to kind of retranslate that, what that means is, let me put it this way. So, a lot of publisher sites, like Adweek, like the New York Times, like a lot of these sites exist through by selling ad space on their sites, or they don't exist, but they are funded. A sizable portion of their funding is that way. If all those banner ads become super non-effective, no one's going to buy those ads. And when those ads go down, when that ad spend goes down, these publishers are going to have to figure out a way to still monetize. So what Ari's saying is that these publishers are going to have to collect their own data and then sell access to that data to advertisers for various different ways, right? Or with their various different ways, or through. I don't know. They're going to have to sell that access to that data to advertisers. And that is harder. It gets harder. And usually harder is a good thing, right? I think the subtitle for this article was that in the long term, this is going to be better. And I think so, because the obtrusiveness of pop-ups, the scariness of your data being shared with, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of different websites is kind of not cool. So ultimately, this will be a little bit better because it is harder to do. So it's going to weed out a lot of people. It's going to be harder for folks to advertise, but maybe that'll weed out some of the bad ones. Continuing on, let's jump to the next ones here. Walled gardens will gain new power. Walled gardens have direct access to their audiences, and that means for easily securing consent for first-party data. Because of this, walled gardens will be one of the few areas where brands and agencies can leverage first-party data. That could make advertisers more dependent on these channels for reaching consumers. This has the potential to drive more ad dollars within walled gardens and other platforms with persistent first-party identification and meaningful on-platform engagement and purchase behaviors. So, I'm not super sure exactly what they mean by walled garden. It's kind of it's got to be like an insider term. What I assume that it means is like, audiences, like contained audiences, like an email list, right? So if you have an email list, I would consider that probably a walled garden. I'd guess that based on the context here. But an email list is absolutely an area where advertisers get access to if they build a relationship. So here's an example. If you, if you know that your product might be usable by a certain audience of another product, let's say if you're selling dental hygiene products, right? If you know that you can get into an email list for a dentist office and include a cool article or something like that to inside of an email list for that dental office, and they can push that out to their audience, then that would be a cool way to advertise through a walled garden. Of course, there's payments and all that stuff that has to happen there, but it's possible. And that's kind of where things are headed, right? Like, you're going to have to build relationships, find other audiences that are very targeted for you, and then get permission to advertise in those audiences. Is it better or worse for people? Is it better or worse for brands? I don't know. Time's going to tell. But we'll find out. All right. Let's read this last part, discuss it, and then move on to the next stuff. Outside channels look more attractive to advertisers. With new online channels and legwork needed to find solutions, advertisers will begin to focus heavily on channels that don't rely on third-party cookies. This will include email, traditional TV and OTT, and in-app advertising, as these systems will help advertisers leverage persistent device IDs for targeting. There also will be new, more seamless ways for brands to leverage their email and CRM data to publishers for the purpose of targeting. That's an interesting one. Who knows, man? Maybe Infusionsoft and Salesforce, will have part of their their clauses, their user clauses that say, hey, if you put your user data in here, we're going to sell it. You know, we're going to have access to that. That would be weird, right? I think that I wouldn't put it past some CRMs, especially some of the real budget ones, or freemiums, free CRMs that are free. You know, maybe there's going to be some user data issues with that, because it's a huge opportunity. Where there's a big opportunity, there's always somebody willing to capitalize on it. Email marketing we talked about there. You know, I'm skeptical of the TV and radio and that type of stuff, because, you know, I think us as a society, we're just over that. It just doesn't work as well, and we can't track it as well. That's really the big one for me, is that a good radio advertisement or a good TV advertisement can do really good things for a brand, especially at the local level. But the problem is that it's super difficult to track the effectiveness of those ads, especially for e-commerce. So it's just real hard. So we stay away from it for most e-commerce companies. However, if there are some ways for us to better track that, then perhaps that becomes back on the table, you know. But we'll see. So this is the big news, man. This third-party cookie things, it's not set in stone yet, and we don't really know when it's going to happen. But, you know, with all this pressure on privacy and this type of stuff, Google might do it. They might do it, you know. Although, you know, I'm also skeptical about this now that I'm thinking about this for a third or fourth time after looking at this article. Google's display network is a major part of their advertising advertising dollars, their revenue from Google AdWords. So if they turn off third-party cookies, then, and they know that they make up so much of the internet as far as browser use is concerned, isn't that shooting themselves in the foot a bit? And taking away all that revenue? I don't know. See, that's the weird part about it, is how do you do this as a company? You trying to protect user privacy? You're trying to make ad revenue? I don't know. We'll see. So keep your eyes open for it. What it means to the small business owner is really how you're going to use advertising in the future. Is remarketing still going to be a thing for you? Is display network still going to be a thing for you? Or banner ads still going to be a thing for you? We'll find out. All right, let's move on to some more stuff. But before that, it's beer time. We're going to drink some beer. Man, I love Beer Fridays, dude. It's the best. Okie dokie. Let's do some fun stuff here. I'm not going to read a ton more now, so you can relax. I'm not going to kill you with my reading, but I do want to share some interesting stats that I thought were cool. So this is a survey from Credo, or an updated survey from the digital marketing industry. What they did is they surveyed a bunch of digital marketers in agencies and just freelance consultants. And what they asked them is, how much are you making? What's your pricing like? How much are you charging? And they put together some data on some averages, data and averages for us to take a look at. And it's kind of interesting. So I want to show you some stuff. So the last few weeks we've talked about SEO a bit. So let's take a look at what SEO agencies are charging on average. And the data here, let me see if I can zoom in a bit there for the video. Boom, that looks kind of better. All right, so what's going on here is these are the numbers that people said in response to the question, how much are you guys charging for your SEO services? Where's the question here? SEO consultant rates, agency rates, yada, yada, yada. Basically, how much are you charging? And the numbers are a bit surprising to me. They're a little bit higher than I thought. So a majority of people, a majority of consultants and agencies are charging $100 to $200 an hour. This bracket here. There's 20%, according to the survey, 50 to 100, which that's where I thought a majority would be, was in the 50 to 100 range based on what I see on Upwork and that sort of stuff. But this is the surprising one, man. $100 to $200 an hour for SEO services. That's up there, you know. This is about link building, but this is really average. So, you know, my firm, we charge about that much for our services, in the $100 to $200 range an hour. But I consider myself to be, about average or more than average. I guess I was about right there. But, you know, I charged less than $100 for a long time as a freelancer. But very interesting, you know, so that's how everyone's charging. So here's something to think about as a business owner. You know, if you get a price quote back, you know, if you're seeing $50 to $100, you know, that person's way under the average for United States and UK. That was the response rate here, was United States and UK. Well, actually, I think they said the world. So, okay, let me rewind a little bit here. I'm saying a lot of things. First, the survey respondents were about 50% in the US and then 50% throughout the rest of the world, with a bunch of that being in the UK. That's what I meant by that. Now, back to what I was saying a second ago. If you're receiving a price quote back and you're like, all right, is this average or not? You know, SEO services, most firms and consultants are charging in the $100 to $150 probably dollar range. Anything less than that is undervalued. Anything more than that's probably above average. So you have to make the choice. You know, where are you going to pay for service? Are you down for the person who's maybe a little bit more novice, but they're going to save some money? I would advise against that if you can afford it, because, you know, these guys, really what it boils down to is they've messed up less, and they might mess up on your account. You know, the reason why we charge what we charge is because we've messed up a lot over the years. You know, we've learned a ton and we've succeeded a lot, you know, so you learn from your mistakes and you learn from your successes too. But we have more of those in our repertoire. Someone down here probably doesn't. Someone way up here, I don't know who they are. This person that's like 500 plus an hour. I don't know. Damn. But yeah. Anyways, all right. Let's check out some other types. So PPC. This is like Google AdWords, Facebook. Oh no, Facebook's a different category. So PPC is probably Google AdWords, Bing AdWords, or Bing advertising, that sort of thing. What's the averages here? 28% in the 100 to 150 range. 150 to 200 is 24%, and then there's 23% in the 50 to 100. So about the same distribution as the SEO. And that, I would imagine, like SEO and PPC generally go together there. Let's look at Facebook. Dun, 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 dun. Facebook, generally the same distribution. So, you know, a majority of people in the 50 to 200, but, you know, about half the people in 100 to 200 range an hour, which goes online. You know, that's pretty much what you're going to see. Anything you pay for one of these free services is about the same. Although, you know, this one, pretty expensive, man, for Facebook advertising. If you pay 150 to 200 bucks an hour, that's a lot. Because it takes time, you know, like 1 hour isn't going to do it for you. Really launching a Facebook advertising account and campaign, it's going to take, you know, minimum 3 hours a week, minimum, just to optimize your account, I would imagine. To start up, you're probably looking at a 10-hour to 15-hour startup. So just to start up is going to be $1,000 to $2,000 bucks to get your account going at 100 to 150 bucks an hour. Interesting, right? But anyways, the other one I wanted to show you was digital marketing agency and consultant hour rate. So this is just flat consulting. And this one was interesting because it's lower, I think, right? Like 100, 150 is 29%. Well, no, it's about the same distribution. Man, I was wrong. It's about the same distribution. So, you know, it's all in here. 50 to 200 is the range, with that being a little heavier on the, well, in this case, it's a little heavier on the lower side, but slightly, 21.77 to 21.4. So, oh, this is what it was. Digital marketing agency and consulting rate hours, digital marketing consultant rates. This is the one I wanted to show you. So this is just consultants, right? Like flat consultants that aren't really part of an agency. These are like freelance consultants, and way cheaper, right? Like a majority of people are in the 50 to 150 range, and the distribution's different. A lot of these people, 31+% in the 51 to 100 range. And that's what you would expect. You know, if you're hiring a third-party consultant that's a freelancer, they don't have the backing of an agency, they don't have an overhead, all that sort of stuff, they can really retain more of that dollar, so they can charge less. Yeah, real interesting. But, all right, yeah, so I just wanted to show you that stuff. I thought it was some cool, interesting stats. And I got one other interesting thing to kind of go through with you. This one I'm going to read a bit of, but I do think it's interesting because I've been reading a lot about Shopify lately, and Shopify's trying to do some weird stuff, man. They're trying to make some moves. They basically break up with MailChimp a few weeks ago, a couple weeks ago actually, it was more recent than that. And stock is going up. They're getting more attention, with probably good reason. Shopify is a good platform. If you're just getting started in the e-commerce world, Shopify is a great place for you to go to have your own website because for a couple of reasons. One, they have a ton of tools that you can use. Two, it's pretty easy to build stuff out. And three, you can pretty much plug and play and start making money online real quick. But the interesting part about this is that this opinion piece from Financial Post by Mr. James McLeod, excuse me, I'm burping because I drank beer, but by James McLeod is talking about Shopify trying to rival Amazon. And he refers to Amazon as the 800-pound gorilla. Or, excuse me, I think that one of the people he interviewed referred to Amazon as 800-pound gorilla. But it's quite interesting, so I want to read you some of it and kind of talk about it for a bit. All right, Shopify Inc. has a place in downtown Los Angeles that adheres to the nondescript text-based aesthetic pioneered by Apple stores. Clean white walls, blonde wood accents brightly lit. Situated on the ground floor of an old warehouse building, it is in a revitalized district full of boutique shops and eateries just a few blocks from Skid Row. The apparent storefront looks like it's ready to swell, well, something. But on first glance, there are no products available for purchase. This lack makes a bit more sense when you discover the place isn't actually a store. According to Cody DeBaker, who has managed the Shopify LA project since it's opened last October, it is really more like a gym, more specifically a gym for entrepreneurship, a place where merchants can come in, improve their business fitness, share notes, and get stronger. So here's a picture of that. It's kind of neat. Looks like a store there. Not really a store. You can go in and learn some stuff about Shopify. This little Los Angeles place also represents the most clear and concrete example of Shopify's business strategy to reshape commerce by giving all the little guys, not to mention the Ottawa-based company itself, a chance to change the prevailing mood that Amazon.com Inc. is the only future of retail. There's an inherent danger that we all need to be aware of here, Shopify Chief Operating Officer Harley Finkelstein said ominously last spring during the keynote presentation at the company's annual partner conference. The danger is that we're not careful and we're not focused. That if we're not careful and we're not focused, then the future of commerce will be held in the hands of a few monolithic players who will decide when, where, and how commerce takes place. And for the future of commerce to not only survive but to thrive, it needs to be in the hands of the many, not the few. So he's referring to Amazon there, right? Finkelstein didn't mention Amazon by name, which makes sense because Shopify has a complicated relationship with the giant e-tailer. They are competitors, but also partners since Shopify's e-commerce software integrates with Amazon Marketplace to allow merchants to sell their products on Amazon. But with net sales of $232.8 billion last year, Amazon is undeniably the biggest of the monolithic players in e-commerce. Amazon is the 800-pound gorilla, and a lot of things that consumers have come to expect and crave were originated with Amazon, said Penny Gillespie, an analyst focusing on digital commerce at Gartner. For example, when Amazon offered 2-day shipping for inventory tracking, Gillespie said online merchants of all shapes and sizes needed to quickly figure out how to implement the same logistics to remain competitive. Yeah, tons of people, they're like, how do we remain competitive? We got to give the same thing, 2-day shipping, otherwise people are going to buy off Amazon, right? Including Walmart. They finally got on the train like last year, but they're on it now. These types of situations are exactly where Shopify wants to step in. As a fast-growing player in the e-commerce space, Shopify's platform serves more than 800,000 merchants, and those merchants in 2018 collectively sold $41.1 billion worth of products and sales. That kind of growth, along with an expansion into overseas markets, makes Shopify a serious player in the retail landscape despite being currently dwarfed by Amazon. Shopify is usually described as an e-commerce service provider, which is true, but it doesn't capture the full picture. Yes, the company takes care of online shopping functionally for 800,000 customers, but its software platform also serves as a kind of merchant dashboard that allows a business operator to manage a whole range of functions. Via an app store, customers can access thousands of third-party developer apps that handle things such as social media advertising, shipping, product reviews, and upselling. So that's what I was saying before. And Shopify is cool because it has all these applications, all these tools. And you can do cool shit on Shopify that would normally take advanced programming. For example, they have like an upselling tool where if somebody's checking out, before they process the checkout, you can serve them an offer that's like a one-time offer that says, hey, right before you check out, if you add this to your cart right now, you get 50% off this particular item, right? Like that's a really cool application. And it's difficult to find that outside of Shopify. If you try to use WordPress for it, they are out there. You got to pay for it. And a lot of times that integration doesn't exactly play nice with your version of WordPress or your theme. So you got to get a developer in there to kind of fix it. And it's not as easy to do. The downfall with Shopify is that their websites are pretty robotic. Or pretty like templated. You're going to pick a template and you're going to have to stick with it. You can't do a lot of stuff. You can sometimes change color. You can sometimes, update text. Well, you can update text, not sometimes, but I'm talking like fonts and sizing and that sort of stuff is more difficult to do. You can hire developers that can come in and edit the theme for WordPress. For Shopify. And Shopify will tell you, yeah, we're totally customizable. You can do whatever you want, but it's not that easy. Right? You got to hire some developer. They're going to come in, and there's a chance they're going to break the code. They're going to do something like that, and you're going to have to spend more time down. It's tricky, and I know this because I've had it happen. So Shopify is less customizable, and if they're going to sit here and say, I'm going to challenge Amazon, Amazon does a lot right. They do a lot of things that. Here's why they're so good at what they do. It's real simple. They make the buying process easy, like super easy. They got like one-click ordering and then 2-day shipping. A lot of times they got next-day shipping now. So it's like the buying process, even the shopping process to compare different products is pretty darn easy. So they're focused, Amazon is focused on making the buyer process way easier. And to try to say you're going to do that better, you're not. Amazon's going to kick everyone's ass for a long time. Does that mean they cannot be beat? No. But you can't beat them on that front. Right? You're not going to beat, a world-class sprinter in a race. So don't challenge them to a race. Challenge them to something else that you can win at. And that's really the difference here. So where you win, where you're going to beat Amazon is in buyer experience. What can you do on your website that makes things cooler? Maybe you can preview items differently. Maybe you can look at 3-dimensional views that you wouldn't be able to use there. Maybe you can chat with someone live about a product. All those sorts of things that make the buyer experience more of an experience and more cool and nice, you can beat Amazon at. You can also beat Amazon on the way things look. Your website can be really cool and interactive and have beautiful videos and imagery. You can beat Amazon there. The problem that we run into with Shopify is that their websites, like I said, are kind of this rubric template structure. So building something that's very custom to your brand is not super possible on Shopify. You're going to have to go into something like WordPress or something like that, or get something custom coded. But even still, I think that Shopify is doing really good things for business owners. They make it, like I said, very easy for someone to get started in the e-commerce world. And not just get started, but be effective. There's people that make a lot of money off of Shopify stores. And you can. If you got a good product, you got a decent store, you got something that people want, you can put it in front of the people that might want it, then great. Are you going to take on Amazon? I don't know. We'll see what happens next time on Dragon Ball Z. All right. That's pretty much it for me this week. I had fun. We did things. Drinking beer. And I think I'm going to wrap some stuff up, answer a couple more emails, and get out of here for the day. So next week, we'll see what's in the news. Maybe we'll jump back into social media land and see what's up there. What else? What else should I say before I close this thing out? I think the last couple episodes have been good. I like the news articles. Really, the content's been better. I can tell. You know, these articles this week were really good, really interesting. Last week, they were really cool about Facebook and Snapchat. Previous weeks, the content was okay, but I think that it was a little bit too obtuse. It was not really... Yeah, I want to try to provide a lot of value in this stuff. So, you know, I think that this stuff provides a little bit more value and is more interesting. So I'm going to keep trying to find it. But all right, that's it. You guys have a good weekend. Have a good week next week. And we'll talk to you then. Adios. First Instagram goes, peace Instagram. Dun, dun, dun. End the damn thing. There we go. I got fat fingers. We'll share it. And now the YouTube leaves. The YouTube stream is going off in 3, 2, 1. Adios.